One of the most debated topics is who is the GOAT of MMA? Who is the greatest of all time? And today I'm going to give arguments against each possible GOAT contender in the UFC. So starting off, Jon Jones. He's probably the most agreed upon greatest of all time in the UFC. But there are just a few things I might have to nitpick here. So first off, he has multiple steroid offenses. He's tested positive multiple times. And some people would say that this in and of itself automatically takes you out of the GOAT conversation. And I see their point. I see where they're coming from, but I don't think it's that simple because let's be real. If we take all the UFC champions, I bet a grand majority of them have been on steroids before. And it's not something that I can prove because if an athlete test is positive, then USADA is not required to make that information public, right? They can deal with that behind the scenes. So we really don't know how many, UFC fighters are on steroids. We can just kind of guess, and my guess would be a grand majority of them are. Also, his antics outside of the octagon, he has a few of them, just a few, and I'm going to list some of them, but not explain them all. I think it would take a little bit too long to go into detail on each one. So he crashed his car into a pole and was charged with a DWI. He tested positive for cocaine a few days after his first fight with DC, and he had a hit and run on a pregnant woman. We all know about that one. He informed on other fighters breaking USADA rules to reduce one of his ban sentences. He forced the UFC to move an entire event from Nevada to California less than a week before the fight. And battery on a strip club employee. Charged with another DWI. Charged with domestic battery and tampering with the police vehicle. Allegedly assault. This one's alleged, by the way, so take this one with a grain of salt. Assaulted and threatened to kill a USADA drug employee. And he hid under his gym's octagon for over 6 hours straight to hide from USADA drug testers. But he's still the GOAT, we can excuse all of that because, he did head kick DC, so we can excuse all of that stuff, right? Also, at the beginning of his career, he was beating up middleweights, let's be real. Like Shogun. The point is he came into the light heavyweight division at a time when it wasn't super optimized, so at the beginning, his first few title defenses, or some of the people he fought at the beginning, weren't really, they were kind of middleweights. Shogun, he could have been a middleweight. This is a critique that a lot of people have, but I don't even necessarily agree with this just because he was a pioneer for his time. He was ahead of his time. I don't think we can hold that against him, right? Because the competition back when he first became champion, it wasn't up to the standards that they are now, But I don't think that's something to hold against him, but that is a pretty common critique of Jones. And he also has a loss to Reyes, let's be real. He did not win that fight. And he went the distance with Anthony Lionheart Smith. That is the most egregious thing on this entire list. And, I think this automatically removes him from any sort of GOAT conversation. No, but seriously, it's kind of a critique how a lot of his fights were decisions and some split decisions. And going the distance with Anthony Smith is kind of a crazy stat. But overall, you have to ask yourself, how much do you care about the steroids, the antics outside of the octagon, and the potential losses, right? How much do you care about that stuff to disqualify him from being the GOAT? But we are never going to come to one concise conclusion on who the GOAT is, right? It just kind of depends, Maybe for some people, this stuff is like a W. Maybe this stuff is based, So it's up to you. The next person, though, GSP, George St-Pierre. He lost to Matt Serra and Matt Hughes. That's the biggest one. He has 2 losses in his career. Now, he did avenge both those losses, and he arguably lost to Johnny Hendricks and after that, he took a 3-year hiatus. It was like, what, I had a close fight. I think I need a little break now. Didn't fight Robert Whittaker, but fought Michael Bisping instead. He beat Michael Bisping, but a lot of people say he ducked Robert Whittaker. Also, GSP is critiqued because he's a decision machine. These are legendary 7-fight decision streak in a row, dude. He is, maybe it's a welterweight curse, right? We got Bilal Muhammad now, and we had GSP then, right? But seriously, 7 decisions in a row is kind of crazy. A lot of people were like hyping up a GSP versus Habib fight, but GSP is honestly one of the more boring GOATs. Next up, we have Demetrious Johnson, bro. 12 title fight wins, dude. 12 title defenses, bro. Greatest of all time, though. I feel like when people say that Mighty Mouse is the GOAT, they just want to be a hardcore fan, right? They don't want to give the normal take of Jon Jones is the GOAT. So, oh, Demetrious Johnson, bro, he fucks everyone up. The thing about Mighty Mouse is the GOAT is he fought fucking nobody, dude. Like, for example, Jones and GSP, they fought much better competition, right? Like, Jones's win over DC is probably his most impressive win, but Demetrius Johnson is like, it's like the meme, name 5 Mighty Mouse title defenses, right? Like, Tim Elliott, Henry Ceruto, and you, like, you don't even fucking know any of them, because a lot of them were just nobodies, random people in the flyweight division. Flyweight was not a super competitive division, it's still not, so he really didn't fight anyone, and he is 1-1 with his toughest opponent, Henry Ceruto, right? And the flyweight division, to this very day, still doesn't have the toughest competition, right? Like we saw Kai Asakura get a title shot on his debut, which would be absolutely insane in any other division, but nobody really cared since it was flyweight. Plus, Pantoja like beat everyone, so they needed somebody new, right? Another big critique is that he would not move up to bantamweight and fight TJ Dillashaw for a quote super fight. Maybe he just wasn't confident enough to move up, or I don't know. But he just refused to go up to bantamweight, and this was at a time where flyweight was a super boring division. So him going up to bantamweight could have gained him some star power, but he just refused to do that.